CEO Hour with Dean Akers. The mission? To help CEOs and startups succeed in today's marketplace. Entrepreneur or established CEOs, is your business growing? Where's your business going? Let's talk about it with your host, Dean Akers.
Welcome to the CEO Hour. I'm your host, Dean Akers, bringing you top CEOs and entrepreneurs each week that share their journey. By the way, this includes their thoughts and ideas that help their success and things they learned not to do again. Today, I'd like to welcome Joanna Olsen, the CEO of the Coyote Ugly groups. You're the only Coyote Ugly groups in Florida, right?
Correct, yeah.
That's awesome. So, Joanna, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're excited, and our entrepreneurs and our listeners love to hear about our entrepreneur journeys because everybody thinks you fall out of the womb a successful entrepreneur. And as we both know, that doesn't quite happen that way, right?
Right.
So I like to start the journey, and with my female guests, I've said we're going to do this, and because the age doesn't matter anymore, does it?
No, not at all.
So what happened on January 15th, 1975 in Brooklyn, New York?
I guess this leader A-type personality came out of my mom to torture them.
Exactly. So you were born in Brooklyn.
I was born in Brooklyn, New York. My dad was out of Vietnam, and mom, we lived there. They were both 24 and born in Brooklyn, New York.
What was he doing in Brooklyn when you were an infant?
He was a security officer at an art museum.
Really?
Yes.
And so I know your journey. How long were you there in Brooklyn?
Till I was 2 years old, and then we moved to Houston, Texas.
Wow. Well, Brooklyn. Before we start, I shared my son lives in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Back when you were growing up in Brooklyn, it wasn't necessarily what it is today, is it?
No, it was. But, they always said it was so amazing and so nostalgic because you had all these different groups of people. You had an Irish bloc, Italian, I was Norwegian and Swedish, and it was a melting pot of everyone. And I think that really was an awesome way to grow up because we had, no prejudice and everyone around me and open to every type of person. I think that was really awesome. And I love that was instilled for me from my parents.
That's great. So now they pack up and head to Texas?
Yes. So Dad gets a job with Wells Fargo.
Really?
And we moved to Houston, Texas, and I was raised there until I was 12.
So he was back in the early days of Houston, too.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any memories of that part of the journey?
Absolutely. The coolest thing was they would go to the Texas Tumbleweed and all these, country western bars and dress up, and it was really fun to watch them do that. And I went to St. Mark's, which was an awesome school. So it was a private parochial school. And so it was a very few kids in class. So that was really unique because you got a lot of one-on-one attention. And I think that really helped as well with sports and athletics and leadership abilities and really growing education and everything for me.
Did you do anything at that age that was outside of just schoolwork?
It was definitely I was definitely more of a leader and was the captain of all my teams. And that was really nurtured during that time.
Yeah. So now you're 12 and Dad pack them up again. Huh?
Yeah. And I was actually really excited. I was excited for a change and to move somewhere and to go to a public school. For some reason, that was really important for me. And so then I went to a school where there were 500 kids in my class.
And so he packed up and moved to Hotlanta?
Yeah, Marietta, Georgia.
Georgia.
And I went to, it was Lasseter High School. So it was very competitive, very, mix of everyone, which I loved, in a great neighborhood. It's still that I visit all the time.
Was he with Wells Fargo?
Yes. Mm-hmm. He was still with Wells Fargo and was a branch manager there.
And was this the Wells Fargo Bank Group?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big deal to go from the security guard business to the banking.
Yeah,
business.
he did. He definitely worked himself up. And I come from, two parents that are very different because they wanted to know what their paycheck was every month and didn't, this entrepreneurial spirit didn't come from them, but they've definitely instilled great work ethic and accountability and all those traits that were so important.
So now you're in Atlanta. You're going to public school. Was there any things that were going on then that were revelations to you, or that things that that were impacting your journey that you remember if you were looking back?
Definitely, becoming a leader, going from having 30 kids in your class to 500, and that the best 12 athletes made the team, or when we did student council, if you wanted to be the president, you had to work really, really hard. And it was very different there, where your coaches were in charge. There were no parents involved. It was, again, the best person had that position. And I think that was really important because we had to be super accountable. And both my parents worked full time. My grandmother lived with us, has Alzheimer's, and I had a sister who was 10 years younger than me. So there was a lot on our plates. I was a latchkey kid. And so I had to really plan my own time and really take care of myself.
What did your mom do?
She was an accountant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So very, very different from me. But they were just very busy with full-time jobs and full-time lives, driving in Atlanta traffic to and from work. And so that was a really big deal because I had to do a lot on my own.
So in high school, you participated in sports?
Yes. I played softball and basketball, and I was a cheerleader as well.
That's a big load there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was. And then I was in all honors classes, and then played the sports, and then had a job, so because I wanted to help my family out. And I think that's where my journey is a little different from other people, where I wanted to always take care of my parents and not see them work so hard and, struggle paycheck to paycheck.
Wow. And now, being an extracurricular, though, that had to be kind of a big part of your journey, too.
Absolutely. I think it is such an important aspect to be involved in sports, no matter what that entails. I was fortunate enough to be involved in my varsity sports, but I think it's so important for kids to have that discipline, and you learn so much from being on a team.
So if I was sharing with what's interesting, because we've had a lot of cool entrepreneurs like yourself on, and if there's a common denominator, is their extracurricular in their
100%.
Youth. Yeah, it looks like while they're in their youth, they didn't just sit around.
Not at all. And
they had this innate drive. So you had this drive all the way from probably even pre-high school, huh?
Yes, absolutely. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what avenue that was going to be in. And my interest was architecture and design, which I studied in college, not to jump ahead, but you absolutely are a hustler from day one. And that's just a trait in you. And I think sports just helps you understand how to work as a team, be a leader, and delegate and do all those things, which is so important. And learn from your coaches and learn from your mentors and amazing teachers and all these people I've had along the way.
Have you ever talked to any of them since?
Yes, absolutely. I'm still, and I'm, my best friends are still my friends from when I was 12, and they're super important to me. But yes, absolutely. Not, that I'm some big deal, but it's, they instilled a lot of things, and I go back and I very much believe in handwritten notes and thank you letters and thank you cards. And I've gone back and thanked them for just believing in me in a time where maybe I didn't believe in myself, or it was a really hard time at home, or, it really helped. Or my coaches gave me rides to my practices because my parents couldn't, so they've done some really special things along the way.
You just made me smile. And for our listeners out there right now, I'm going to tell you that you don't even know what you just said that made me smile. So I write 50 to 100 handwritten notes every week. And I send stuff out. And for our listeners out there, the entrepreneurs and people that are just listening, that are not entrepreneurs yet, it sounds like those touches create a culture in your life that creates touches. And almost all my successes have come via that. So you just made me smile. That's
and
awesome.
I believe the same. I do the same, whether it's, and I am very grateful. It comes, and I think it's just so special to get that handwritten note.
Oh my gosh. So now you're in high school, you're doing all the sports, you're doing everything. It's getting close to graduation. Now what's happening?
This is another interesting thing, because now when I talk to my friends who have children now, I was the first one to go to college. So I would have to earn the money to get $25 to send out applications. I didn't know what I was doing, how to do it. I just had to go to my counselors and figure it out and earn the money myself and send it in. So the Hope Scholarship came out the year I was going off to college. So I had really wanted to go to all these Ivy League schools and realized, okay, well, I'll have a debt of $250,000, but I still really wanted to go. And there's parts of me that still wish I did, but I did get to go to the University of Georgia and just missed the Hope Scholarship, but was there and chose Georgia and graduated in 3 years. So it was a really great experience.
Well, we're going to come back in segment 2, and we're going to pick up on that journey to the University of Georgia. By the way, I'm a Gator.
Hey.
I always told my kids, if you can't get in Gainesville, go to Athens, Georgia. It's
good. Okay. Well, that's good.
Anyway, we won't go there. Again, I'm your host, Dean Akers, the host of the CEO Hour, and each week I bring you top CEOs and entrepreneurs. And as we go to break, I want you to remember that free offer of the CEO Physical. I have people every week reach out to me and get that physical. And I tell you what, it's something that you can fill out and it'll show you your blind spots in business. And then also I can send you our 3-circle sales program. Again, that's help@adjunctceo.com, help@adjunctceo.com for any questions or anything. And when we come back to segment 2, Miss Joanna is going to share with us her trek to the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia.
The CEO Hour with your host, Dean Akers. Connect with Dean at deanakers.com. We'll be right back.
So, you're a tech startup. You're working hard, trying to make it happen with big ideas, big dreams, and a small budget. You need to connect with people in the same boat. Now is the time to join the early stage startup group, the Innovation Center, an incubator for early stage tech firms. You can find them at tbinnovates.com. Now operating for over 14 years, the Innovation Center is a regional, national, and internationally known success story, continuing to generate momentum in Pinellas County. Twice, the Innovation Center has won the Tampa Bay Technology Forum's Excellence in Service Award and has been recognized by Entrepreneur.com as a top 10 international business incubator. And now, Tech Garage, a technology and entrepreneurship center, has joined forces with the Innovation Center to provide a co-working program in downtown St. Petersburg. Connect with the startup community. Connect with the Innovation Center. Go to tbinnovates.com. That's tbinnovates.com. And tell them the Adjunct CEO sent you.
If you're a CEO or organizational leader looking to expand your business, join the CEO Council, where you'll meet and exchange ideas with fellow CEOs without the pressures of a sales network environment. You can join today by sending an email to application@adjunctceo.com. The CEO Council is comprised of over 220 fantastic local business leaders you'll be able to learn from because they walk in your shoes every day. When you become a member of the CEO Council, you'll have an opportunity to build trusted relationships during the roundtable meetings, share your triumphs, vet ideas, and work through business challenges with peers who can provide real-world business solutions. The CEO Council offers opportunities to hear from world-renowned speakers that inspire ideas to help members grow as both leaders and individuals. Join the CEO Council. Request your CEO Council membership application today at adjunctceo.com or by sending email to application@adjunctceo.com. That's application@adjunctceo.com.
Helping your business succeed in today's marketplace. Welcome back to the CEO Hour with Dean Akers.
Well, welcome back to segment 2. I'm your host, Dean Akers, bringing you top CEOs and entrepreneurs every week that share the journey. Again, it includes their thoughts and ideas that helped them in their success and things they've learned not to do again. Today, we have Joanna Olsen with Coyote Ugly and just an entrepreneur on steroids. And when we went in the break, she was talking about high school. And while we were in the break, we were talking about drive and things that you pick up on. And Joanna, so you really had to make your own way.
Absolutely. Actually, the quote I live by is make your own path.
And I think entrepreneurs out there, make their own path. However, how many people do you run into that you look at them and go, you could make your own path?
100%. People put up their own blockers, and you just have to, it's that simple. You just have to go for it. And there's always a way.
There's always a way.
There's always a way, and you never give up. I mean, these are things I just live by.
Yeah, and so the people out there that I always get takeaway, and there's always a way. And that's going to be one of my takeaways today. And I think you live that, right?
Absolutely. And even just the limitations I faced as there's only 1% of women in this business. I was 24 when I opened them. Lil was the founder and became my partner, and this was so difficult to get people to give me loans and think, really believe in me. The movie came out shortly thereafter, which gave us more validity. But you talk about facing so many roadblocks.
Well, you probably even in high school. When you were in high school and you were on sports, you didn't automatically win, did you?
Not at all. You have to really work for it.
Yeah, and as you and you had to learn how to. Did you have to learn how to handle when you lost a game?
Absolutely. I mean, adversity and how to deal with failures. And believe me, I've had many successes and failures. That's the road of an entrepreneur along the way.
Yeah.
And extreme circumstances that arise, in my business. So it's, you don't wish for it, you work for it. And that's what I always say.
But again, not even jumping ahead to your entrepreneurial story. Was that ingrained with you, or was that self-developed when you were, again, back in your high school years? Because it sounds like you had it there.
Yeah, I feel like I was really born with this drive. Again, my parents were always so awesome because they always made me believe I could do anything I set my mind to, which was really, really important. So they instilled that belief in me when I told them my ideas or what I wanted to do. They never said, "Oh, you can't do that," or "Oh, you should just marry," or "You should," those things. It was never, ever. They're like, "Go for it. Make your own money. Do your own thing. Open your own business." They always believed in that. And that was very, very huge for me.
Oh, it is.
But they weren't able to, they both worked full time though. So they weren't able to be there and nurture it, and they didn't know what to do with it. Neither one of them were built that way. They always say, "We didn't know who you were since you came out." I was like, they said they were always waiting for like Princess Diana to pick me up or take me back because they didn't understand where my mindset came in. So that's been a unique challenge for me. I've always tried to find out where I fit in with other people because, that was a little tough. I didn't even fit in with my own family sometimes in my thought process.
That had to be an interesting discovery as you're going through, a young girl coming up and having all these drives. I mean, to be in sports like you were heavily driven, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And did you try for student government?
Yes, I was in student government as well, and Spanish class. Spanish club, everything. And I learned a second language because I knew I could use that later, and it helped me through all my construction and development of my businesses and traveling all over. So that was really important to me, no matter what I was going to do, to know different languages. And my goal of being an entrepreneur was to travel the world, make as much money as possible, give back to the community and support my family. So that was my whole goal. And again, whatever that was going to be, but that was my set goal that I wrote down in my journal very early on.
Wow. So do you still journal?
I do. I think it's really important. I journal. I do a gratitude journal where I write the 5 things I'm grateful for, because you do have to live in optimism and gratitude. I'm very realistic, but that helps bring out the 5 good things that happen to you that day. And I think that's a really good advice a mentor gave me several years ago that I do. And I do sometimes journal and write things down that I need to work on and what I need to do better, because we're always working on ourselves.
So now you go to the University of Georgia, and I was tongue-in-cheek about that. Obviously, it's a great institution.
I couldn't get in now, I can tell you that.
Oh, I went to the University
I couldn't get in now.
I went to the University of Florida in 1970, and I had a 2.0 high school. That was a 4.0 system.
Yeah.
If I could fog a mirror, they'd let me in. Today, everybody goes, "Oh, you went there?" Because everybody, to get a 5.0 on an unbalancing, you got to go there. It's like crazy.
Right. Me too. I had a 3.0 and got in Georgia, so that would never happen now.
But guess what?
They would say the B students figure it out, though. So.
Yeah.
Right?
I had a CEO buddy of mine one time. He said, "Thank God for us C students."
Right. Absolutely.
Because we can employ all the A students. Please, out there in Radio Land, don't take offense to that. Please don't take offense to that. So now you're at the University of Georgia. Was that a struggle?
I wouldn't say it was a struggle my freshman year. It was a big adjustment. I still had issues going on at home. My parents got divorced. My sister was very young. So a lot of my care was back home, and I wanted to make sure my sister was okay. I was very heartbroken and confused by my parents' divorce. And I'm trying to figure out I have 2 jobs, make it in college, and have that big adjustment. So that was a really difficult time for me, but still a lot of fun going to, football games and this and that. But it was a lot of balancing act. And I will tell you, one of the things that still sticks out to this day is I was the only person who had a job out of my friends. So they were all going to the games and all these things. And I was working at the Athens Coffee House. I was waitressing at TGI Fridays. But at this point, I see how much that really helped build my character and do things.
Yeah, but at the time you were doing it because you had to.
Right, absolutely.
You didn't sit there and go, I want to be a waitress at TGI Fridays or wherever it was. Yeah. And it sounds like those were all pieces of the puzzle.
100%. And it gives you, you want to, that made me want to achieve and make money and more. So, and, and when you hand people things, I respect money and respect people. I'm so much more appreciative for everything that I do have.
Well, I know I study generations, and it's not a discussion for today, but you're at your age, you're right in the, Generation X, and so you were part of the first divorce generation, the true divorce generation,
absolutely,
and it really impacted your generation.
It really, I think it really, really did.
Yeah,
and what we thought marriage was going to be, and that people just stay together. And now what we deal with, it's very different. It's a very fast changing pace of life with what that role entails for a girl or CEO, owner, entrepreneur. It's just different. It's very different. It changes very fast. And I do feel like we were the first entrepreneur females of that generation, because I didn't have any entrepreneur females to really look up to at my age.
Yeah,
there weren't any.
No, if you look at women in the workforce that were ahead of you, that was not even, that wasn't even on the radar.
Right. Absolutely. I didn't know one. People asked that. I did not know one myself.
Well, that's awesome. So anything else interesting at University of Georgia that helped you along your journey?
Really just that, the balancing everything. Again, the professors, mentors I met, really interesting people. I love learning. I'm definitely different that way. I actually really enjoyed going to class and art history. And one thing that 100% developed me that I don't want to leave out is I studied abroad. And that was actually the transitional pivoting point of me 100% believing in getting really amazing ideas. I studied architecture in Verona, Italy, when I was 20 years old.
That's a pretty good place to study architecture.
Absolutely. So again, my parents believed in me. They helped pay for part of the trip. I got a job and went to school when I was in Italy. So adjusting and figuring that out. And now I look back, taking trains, living on Little, and living in a foreign country and learning Italian and seeing that was what inspired me more to be able to know I can do my own thing.
Is that your second language?
Spanish, really. I use Spanish a lot to get along in Italy, but I go back now and try to speak it as much as I can.
Yeah, if you can speak Spanish, you can usually
you can
work
get
your
by.
way around. Yeah, that's a fact. So, wow.
So study abroad. I tell all the kids that I talk to or parents, have your kids study abroad. It opens your mind to different cultures, food, life, education. It's so important.
Oh my gosh. So you come back to the University of Georgia
senior year.
So your senior year, when give me just a real brief before we go into segment 3, because we just have a little bit. How was graduation? Did you actually graduate from university?
Yes, yeah.
And you did it in how many years?
3. I did it in 3. By default, I look back, and when I got out, I felt like I was playing dress up and said, "What have I done?" I went out and I applied at the top design firm in Atlanta, and I got the job.
So your degree was in design?
Yes, it was.
So when we come back into segment 3, we're going to be visiting with Joanna on her trek from University of Georgia into the design world, which obviously that didn't last long, or it wasn't where you went. And anyway, we'll be coming back into segment 3 talking about her journey as she starts her true business/entrepreneur journey. Again, this is Dean Akers, your host of the CEO Hour, bringing you top CEOs every week. And I just want to remind you as we go to the break, I offer that CEO physical each week, and people reach out for it. And I got to tell you, it makes me smile because it's one of my give backs when somebody takes that physical and they see their blind spots and they call me up and they go, "Wow, Dean, this really helped me in my journey as an entrepreneur." I developed the CEO physical as an entrepreneur when I got cratered by my own blind spots. So that's how I developed. So when we come back into segment 3, we're We're going to be visiting with Joanna as she makes her trek back to Atlanta in the design business.
Helping established CEOs and entrepreneurs. Connect with Dean at deanakers.com. The CEO Hour continues in a moment. Helping to navigate today's marketplace for startups and mainstays. Welcome back to the CEO Hour with Dean Akers.
Welcome back to segment 3. This is Dean Akers, your host of the CEO Hour. Again, bringing you top CEOs and entrepreneurs every week that share their journeys. And like I say, it always includes their thoughts and ideas that help them in their success. And Joanna Olsen, the head of Coyote Ugly, has definitely given us in the first 2 segments some treks on her successes and things she's learned. And I really loved your overseas point that you made for our entrepreneurs. If they're in college, they got to make that happen, don't they?
100%. Again, I don't come from money. There's no limits. I found a way. My parents definitely helped out, but I paid them back, and it was a study abroad program that I got selected for, and you can make it happen in London, Europe, anywhere. And again, it just helped me understand how the whole other world lives. We didn't travel much as when I grew up. We didn't have the money to. We took maybe a week's vacation a year to Florida to visit my grandmother when I was in Atlanta, and a local beach here or there, but nothing overseas. I'd never been shown any other parts of the world, so it was very important to me. I wanted to expand my mind and see other cultures and things, but when I got there, it really changed my thoughts on everything. And
one of the
really
messages you brought our entrepreneurs today that I'm going to take away for sure, and you're just echoing it again, there's always a way.
Absolutely.
There's always a way, right?
Always a way. Whether you do get a loan, there's so many things out there, even though I didn't, you can max out a credit card. You got to believe in yourself, and you have to take the risk. And you always got to say, what is the worst case scenario? That I go back to this job that was still decent and pay off that credit card. And that's the worst case scenario. You believe in yourself and you just keep going.
So now you get an offer from a design firm
in Atlanta.
Go back to Atlanta.
Yeah. Yes.
Were you smiling?
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to go back to Atlanta. And that was, still a big city and everything then. So I get the job I go after. And the thing that got me that job was the fact that I had studied abroad.
Really?
If I had not studied abroad, I was going through the interview. And I was pretty nervous, and I was pretty young. I was only 21. And when I started talking about Italy and studying abroad, my face lit up, and the clients that we had wanted to have someone who was well-traveled and knew things. So that was key in getting me my first position as a designer.
For my listeners out there, I'm going to contradict this a little bit. Based on your journey earlier, I think you have a confident gene. Do you?
I believe it comes across that way, but believe me, I have a lot of insecurities and things I need to work on going through my mind all the time.
Well, so you get the job in Atlanta. Tell us how that goes. I
interview with probably the most intimidating. She was the CEO of the company I've ever been in front of. And I go through 3 interview processes and start my job at Flax Interiors in Atlanta. And it was really, really helpful because I worked there for at least 2 years and really stayed in people's budgets. And one thing I'm still very fond of and I do is flip homes, design homes, do show homes. So that's still part of my really big passion.
So did you move home when you went back to Atlanta, or did you get your own place?
No. My parents had gotten divorced and moved away. I had to get my own apartment. I had 3 jobs. I had a design job. I would babysit for my clients because I was so broke. And I waited tables at KC Rib Company and had my design job. So I had 3 jobs.
Wow.
And got my own apartment in Midtown Atlanta.
And can I ask you, did you feel like a victim?
No, I didn't. Not at all. I was excited. And it was a super exciting time. I loved what I was doing. I was passionate about what I was doing every day, which is so key. And it was a wonderful time.
Yeah, I think just in the first 2 segments and now listening to you, you've never lacked confidence.
No, not at all. And there was no part of me that wanted to move home with my parents after college. That wasn't an option, but it was, my parents made it very clear that once you're 18 and you go to college, you're on your own. That's it. Your life you move forward. And it was tough, and I really felt like I was on my own at certain times, but it definitely shaped and molded who I am. And at 21, I was getting my own apartment and supporting myself, and then shortly thereafter supporting other people and my family.
Wow. So you helped your family after you got your job.
Absolutely.
So that was a big part of your mission.
100%.
That is so epic. Are they still alive?
Yes, they live in Destin, Florida, and
That's had to do with.
I retired them there, but no, they both work, and my dad's in Panama City, and he goes to my bar and looks over it every day, and so it's really been awesome. So they're both, they're my biggest fans and help me out, and they're there for me to listen when I have stress and hurricanes and all kinds of things that I face that are really challenging, and so they live there.
Is your sister down there too?
She is. My sister she lives in Destin as well.
Wow, that's epic.
But she has her own business as a hairdresser. So it's not like but my dad did have several back surgeries, things like that, has some major physical challenges. So it was really important for me to be able to take care of him.
Well, and I imagine he's pretty loaded with some wisdom.
Absolutely. And he was just such a caring, nurturing, loving father. And that's what's so important for your confidence as a female as well.
Yeah, and he obviously served our country in Vietnam, which was a
absolutely.
big deal back then.
Absolutely. And I respect that so much. And I respect military people above and beyond. And we do a lot of giving back for military heroes, so many programs, especially in the Panhandle. 80% of my staff in security and barbacks are military, and I see what they go through firsthand at 18, going overseas and going to war, and respect it and so much, and try to help where I can in that transition.
That's epic. So now you're at your design firm working about 90 jobs in Atlanta, making it all happen. So how does all this stuff start? You met Lil Lowell, did you meet her or did
No? So I opened. So before this, take
me on this journey.
Yeah.
So you're a designer.
There's a whole nother. In 1999, this is a big part of it. I took a chance and opened a nightclub called Paradox.
In
Atlanta. I had a partner, two partners that I set out. Me and my girlfriend who worked at my design firm. We had this big idea. And from traveling abroad in Italy, I knew that I wanted to do a nightclub called where fashion, art, and music meet, because it was all about, I wanted to do art shows, was, modeling part-time at the time, so wanted to involve models, and I just wanted to open my own nightclub. So I went to them with this big idea. They believed in it, and about a month later, we're signing a lease for $17,000 a month.
Wow.
In Buckhead, Atlanta. And I'm 23 years old.
That is entrepreneurial guts on steroids.
Well, when I look back, I cannot believe we did this, but we did, and it was very successful because of a lot of trial and error very quickly. And so by default of being the only girl in the Southeast who had done this, I won Glamour's Woman of the Year, Saturn's Woman of the Year, some pretty profound things early on. So when I went to New York and went out to visit my family, that is all still in Brooklyn, New York, Lil and I met, and I was introduced to that group.
So tell the listeners who Lil is.
Lil is she's a founder of Coyote Ugly. And the movie, if you watch the movie, they're yelling Lil. She's an actual person. She's an awesome person, and that's her.
So you met her in Brooklyn?
I met in New York. New York, at Coyote Ugly. And we did shots of Crown, and we all met and did a city deal. She said, well, what cities would you want? I was like, Atlanta, Tampa. I'd come down here during college and seen how fun 7th Avenue was. So just pick cities right off a napkin. Panama City Beach, because I'd gone there during spring break. And that we literally did a deal on a napkin that night.
That is epic. So your journey, you've got a nightclub. Are you still doing design work? while you're doing the Paradox, or did you quit?
No,
doing it?
I did walk in, and that was, again, one of the other biggest things that I advocate and still do, and is never burn bridges. So one of the scariest days of my life was going in and telling the owner of my company that I was going to be giving my 2 weeks notice and starting my own business. And another key point right then was she looked at me and she said, you know what? I don't know if this nightclub's going to work, but whatever you do is going to work. Whatever you touch turns to gold, and I believe in you. Again, such a big, profound moment, where it's, you believe in people, not sometimes their dreams. And still to this day, when I look at people, or if they come to me with things, I look at the person and are they a go-getter? Are they a leader? Are they going to do whatever it takes? And that's a big thing. And
That
that's
had to be very inspirational to have your boss give you that send-off. Huh?
Yep. And she said, you always have a home here.
Do you ever talk to her anymore?
She is down in Palm Beach and owns a firm now, but I've not talked to her recently. But we have kept in touch over the years, which is super cool.
That's going to be a reach out.
And that was another letter I wrote. Said,
Awesome.
Thank you so much for believing in me at that time.
Wow. When we come back into segment 4, we're going to learn about the relationship that you developed with Lil that allowed you to open your businesses across the Southeast and make it a mega success, but just have fun and get your family involved and all those cool things that entrepreneurship allows. Again, I'm your host, Dean Akers, bringing you top CEOs and entrepreneurs every week that share their journey, and it includes their thoughts and ideas that help their success. And by the way, if you have any questions of Joanna after the show or after the podcast and you want to reach out and learn more, just reach out at help@adjunctceo.com. That's help@adjunctceo.com, and we'll get that question over to her, and I'm sure she'll answer. So see you back in segment 4 with Miss Joanna Olsen.
Success never takes the weekend off. Connect with Dean at deanakers.com. The CEO Hour continues in a moment.
Growth begins by understanding where you are now. For a limited time, business growth experts at Adjunct CEO will provide a full CEO physical of your business valued at $10,000 for free. Email ceophysical@adjunctceo.com. This offer includes financial, marketing, and sales analysis and an outline to help you strategize future success. For your free CEO physical, email ceophysical@adjunctceo.com. ceophysical@adjunctceo.com. Florida ranks high as a new hub for business growth and innovation. Startups, restarts, and starting over are all part of the new vitality generated as geography and economic opportunity collide. As Florida's entrepreneurial ecosystem grows, many are using Synapse to grow their business. Synapse is a groundbreaking methodology that connects all personas within the innovation economy, utilizing a method that enables all users to progress in meeting their given needs while promoting much-needed community engagement. Never more than now has Florida presented opportunity to be better aligned in business, providing huge potential for greater overall results with strong collaboration and holistic leadership. Synapse is a growth synthesis platform that will allow you to take advantage and flourish in ways you never thought possible as an entrepreneur, as a business, and within the context of community, events, connections, publishing, all with Synapse. See for yourself at synapsefl.com. That's synapsefl.com.
Helping your business succeed in today's marketplace. Welcome back to the CEO Hour with Dean Akers.
Well, welcome to the CEO Hour. I'm your host, Dean Akers, bringing you top CEOs and entrepreneurs every week that share their journeys. This includes their thoughts and ideas that helped in their successes and things they've learned not to do again. Today, we have Joanna Olsen, the head of Coyote Ugly, and it's a great restaurant / what would you call it? Place of fun?
Well, you've seen the movie, and that's exactly what the bar is like. The girls do choreographed dances on the bar. We harass customers, have fun with customers, talk on the mic, sing on the mic. It's just a super all-American fun bar.
Okay, so now you've made this journey or this trek that you've opened your own nightclub, but you've gone back to Brooklyn. You've met Lil, and now you've established this kind of relationship that really put you on your trajectory to where you are today, right?
Absolutely. I know when I walked in, I fell in love with the concept right away. It was so much fun. And there was a mix of everyone in the crowd, which I loved. It was every type of person, every type of personality. And I said, I have to open this in Atlanta. So I wanted to venture out and do my own thing. And this was my opportunity to do that. So I sold my shares in my nightclub at the time because nightclubs have a very limited shelf life, most of them.
Right.
Some have been very, very successful long term, but I knew it was time for me to transition. And this felt like a really cool women empowerment, female owner, with coyotes. And it was just awesome in the year, 2000. This is just where I wanted to transition and I wanted to open the new hot thing.
This was 20 years ago.
Yes, it was.
And this is so now you jump this leap into this deal. How did that start?
The first thing is you got to start looking for a location, which is key.
Right.
So right away I start looking in Buckhead for locations. And you got to dig deep. And again, this is where you never take no for answer. There was nothing for rent, but you got to go around door to door and ask people, because a lot of people are ready to get out of their business, or their journey with a bar business is starting to be over. And that's exactly what happened. I found someone who was ready to transition out of the bar business for personal reasons and let me take over the lease.
So that's the ideal
You got to make it
situation.
happen.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to there's always a way.
Absolutely. The same cool thing happened in Tampa. My location now, which is going on 18 years this year, we purchased this building and it wasn't even for sale. So Fat Tuesdays was there.
Right.
I had met the owner of Fat Tuesdays randomly, and it was exactly the same situation. He had it for 10 years. It was on its way out. He personally was at a different space in his life. I had that inclination because of what had happened before. So I went to him, and I luckily had someone who believed in me, which is Chuck Wallace at the time, as being to purchase the building together. And you got to find those people who believe in you. And again, the key is purchasing your buildings. That's been a really big part of my journey that I was able to get through the hard years, was having my, own building that I own and I'm my own landlord, and as an investment for later on.
Sure. So now was Atlanta your first location?
Atlanta was my first location.
And Tampa became?
It was Atlanta. The next location was Tampa, and then Panama City Beach, and actually Charlotte, North Carolina. And I opened them all within a 2-year span.
That's pretty aggressive.
It was really aggressive, and it's finding key people along the way who you can trust to help run it and manage it with you. And me working really, really, really hard and traveling to those places constantly during that time.
Was that a challenge to keep them all open?
100%. And they're not still open to this day.
So the ones you have open today for our listeners are?
I own Panama City Beach, Tampa, Daytona, and Destin, Florida.
That's awesome. Do you have any plans to open any other ones?
We are definitely looking at other locations in Orlando and Miami right now. And so keeping in the Florida area, yes.
Wow. So now you've kind of made your own way. You've opened in Atlanta. What brings you to Tampa? What would even make you think about Tampa?
You mean living now, or?
Well, all the above. So to
back
open
when
the
I picked
location,
them,
yeah.
I had just randomly visited Tampa and went out on 7th Avenue when I was in college and saw it was packed, loved the energy, loved the location. And I wanted them all to be within a short reach because you have to go there.
Right.
So I had to be able to jump on a plane at any time because things happen at the drop of a hat and you have to go into damage control or whatever's happening or start running it yourself.
Well, living in Atlanta, I did a stint up in Atlanta, and that's got to be the best place to be out of if you have to get on an airplane.
It was good to travel out of, but I will say I like the Tampa airport a lot more.
Yeah,
it's a lot easier to get out of.
It's a lot easier. Yeah, when I lived in Atlanta, I go, it's the destination. It's a hub city. So
right, you can get anywhere.
I took Marta from Buckhead, got on it, and flew anywhere in the world, literally direct.
Right.
So now what brings you out of Atlanta, or why? Take me on the journey now that we have the Coyote Uglies. You've got them going. Take me on that journey, the ups and downs of what our entrepreneurs could learn about this really 20-year journey now.
The thing to learn is to follow your gut. That's one thing I have negotiated and done well at and have failed at. But now I feel a lot stronger in that. Your gut always leads you in the right direction with people. I can tell pretty much right away if someone is honest by that gut feeling that comes off right away. Because in this business, especially, I have to hire people I really, really trust and who will treat my staff right and do the right thing. So follow your gut. And again, then never give up, because there's going to be a lot of, especially being a name brand. I have been sued often. I have faced many challenges like hurricanes, shootings, things totally out of, there are so many things that happen out of your control.
When you shared that you said follow your gut, you also said that there were some times that didn't work. What are some of the times it didn't work?
When I allowed certain partners or managers that I didn't feel right be part of that, and it turned out to be absolutely true.
So you didn't follow your gut.
There were times I did not, even though I felt like this didn't feel right. And you're also at some desperate situations. It's hard sometimes to find good people. And that's been the biggest challenge. So when you have them, the one thing I think I've definitely done is take very good care of them. I give them a share of my profit, which is huge. I want them to grow with me. And that is, very, very, very important. And to this day, I have Todd Leverett and Billy Kane who've been with me, and now they're part owners with me in Destin because I've had them grow, and now they're owners with me.
That's awesome. So
you got to hold on to those key people that you trust and believe in.
But again, if you're an entrepreneur and you're following your gut and your gut says it's not right, it's probably not.
Correct.
And so you really need to do, for lack of a better word, a gut check when it says it's not right.
And go with it. Even if it means something's going to go wrong for that moment. Don't bring on wrong people. Don't make any move. Always sleep on it. That's what I always do, is sleep on a major decision overnight. And takes a lot of patience and perseverance.
So as we wrap up this segment, what are some things that you would want our entrepreneurs, because they listen to this show, to pick up things that you've done right and wrong? What are a couple points you'd want to wrap up and share with them to make sure that when they tune off or we're done, that they really go, wow, that was impactful for me? What are a couple of those things?
Again, I stick to the make your own path. If you believe in yourself and really take care of the people who take care of you. I think the big thing is you gotta surround yourself with really strong leaders who make you level up. I think that's really, really important. And another thing that I would say in my journey, for me owning bars specifically, is owning your own property and making that investment in yourself and your future, because that is what has gotten me through, again, those horrible situations and years where the economy goes up or down.
So if you have an opportunity, you want to own your own property.
100%. And everyone can own their own property. They say, well, I can't afford the down payment. I can't do this. You can always figure it out. And I certainly did at that time.
Well, that's one of the messages that I'm taking away. There's always a way.
There is. And, it's just like you're buying a house and actually your rent is less. You're paying yourself rent. It's going to be, it's a fourth of the price I was paying when I was paying true rent. So it really, first of all, helped out in the cost and my bottom profit margin. But it also, now I own my building outright in Tampa, Florida, and can turn around and sell it.
Oh, yeah.
or you rent it out, but we're not going anywhere. We're fortunate our sales are up this year. So we're just conquering.
So you want to make sure you're investing in your people too, or find the right
Absolutely. People. Finding the right people and invest in them and take really good care of them. And even my cleaning people, my bathroom valet, they've been with me since day one, and I've taken really good care of them. And you know what's going on with their children and their family. And it's really being a family and really involving them like that.
Joanna, I want to thank you for coming on today.
I really appreciate you having me. Thank you, Dean.
And I guarantee you there's a lot of takeaways today. There's always a way. Own your own property, build your people. And it's really admirable of what you do with your people, especially in the industry you're in, and then follow your gut. So again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Dean Akers, and I'm the guy that actually is blessed. I get to spend each week with a top CEO or entrepreneur that I learn from, and I hope you learn from them also. And again, if you want to reach out to Joanna, just reach out at help@adjunctco.com, and I'll get the questions to her, and she'll respond back, and we'll get something for you. And then also that free offer, that CEO physical. I got to tell you, with the feedback I get from entrepreneurs that use that and take it, that's one of the biggest values you're going to get from listening today, not only from the great tips Joanna's given us, but also reach out with that physical at help@adjunctco.com. So we look forward to seeing you every week. And this is Dean Akers. Again, thank you, Joanna.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this CEO Hour with Dean Akers, helping businesses and CEOs succeed in today's marketplace. Receive a free CEO physical when you connect with Dean at deanakers.com. That's deanakers.com. And join us again next week for the CEO Hour with Dean Akers.